All right, the bikes are getting ready to grid. If you're not out on the wall or someplace where you have a good view, get on out there. We have ourselves a very close points race between Ricky Corey, Chris Siglin, and Lenny Hale. If I go by points, right now it's Ricky Corey 1, Chris Siglin number 2, Lenny Hale 3, Martin Schwark is 4th in points, Jason Laritzen 5th. Then I believe it's Sebastio Ferrara, Steve Metz, and Greg McCullough in that order. Greg's actually tied with Tim Scarrett. Oh, bikes are getting ready to take the grid. The last of them are slotting into their positions. One board's up on its side, revs come up. And green flag, we're racing. The whole shot's going to be Lenny Hale, but no. Away come Chris Siglin and Ricky Corey side by side. Going into turn 1, they're keeping it side by side. Look at Lenny Hale coming up the inside out of turn number 1. Then he backs off of it. We got another dark horse coming around through there. Ricky Corey currently has the lead. Chris Siglin going around the outside to retake second place. And I thought we had a crash there. These two bikes were laying on each other in turn number 2, but it's working out clean. That's Ricky Corey, Lenny Hale, Michael Ernest, and then Chris Siglin in that order. And Siglin trying to make a move on the outside on Michael Ernest, didn't quite get it done. He's got to get ahead of these guys fast so he can go and catch up to Ricky Corey. I think it took just about everything he had in him to stay up on Ricky Corey's tail in the last race, so he can't afford to let anybody hold him up. Chris Siglin needs to get on the move. Over the top of the hill, Ricky Corey. Could be Lenny Hale up in front, Ricky Corey, Michael Ernest, Chris Siglin. A little bit of a boggle out of Lenny Hale coming to turn 11. That's where the bike had a high side last time, so it didn't look like it was hooking up quite the way he wanted yet again. But Lenny Hale is a good enough rider that he can ride around any issues like that. As bikes get ready to come onto the front straightaway, this is your freight train. You still have 7 bikes credibly that can come up for the front spot. Lenny Hale, Ricky Corey, Chris Siglin, Michael Ernest, Jason Laritzen, Greg McCullough. And then I believe that's Martin Schwark up there too, but then here comes Sebastio Ferrara working his way up as well. Up in front, Ricky Corey is just stalking Lenny Hale right now. This is an 8-lap race, and I know Ricky Corey's got the endurance to get this done. Lenny Hale, of course, is a veteran with a lot of experience with running multiple races on hot days. But his suspension hasn't been working to allow his tires to last the entire race. 4 bikes have now broken away. That's Lenny Hale, Ricky Corey, Chris Siglin, and Michael Ernest. And from a dead stop, these guys were doing very low 150s. Lenny Hale is making a break for it. He wants to get a gap between himself and everybody else, and who wouldn't? But our 4-bike breakaway is definitely trying to make the most of this, really what I'm going to call great conditions here at Thunder Hill Raceway. As as they shoot under the Ferrari Silicon Valley Bridge. On the front straightaway, it's still a freight train. But Ricky Corey is catching up to Lenny Hale. He's in the slipstream. He's coming up beside him. He's got the pass done. Ricky Corey has taken over the lead from Lenny Hale. Now Chris Siglin's going to have to fight. But look at Lenny Hale fighting back. He's going to fight back some more in turn 2. He is so strong in 2. Chris Siglin closing in on him also. Lenny Hale looking around the outside, thinks better of it, slots himself back in. Chris Siglin holding on to the back of this, and they're starting to break away from Michael Ernest now. And look at that! Lenny Hale looking to make an inside move on turn 4. Didn't work out. Ricky Corey shut the door on him, but Lenny Hale is just trying to force his way through wherever he can. The riders are down to 148s now. And there's nothing between Ricky Corey and Lenny Hale. And look, Lenny is closing the gap over in turn number 7. Lenny is on the pipe. I wouldn't be surprised if we pop over the top of 9 and it's Lenny Hale first. No change yet. Lenny Hale still slotted in behind, but Chris Siglin is closing on Hale now. Siglin's got to drive. He's heading into turn number 10. He's got to get ahead of him, but he can't get it done. Lenny Hale is so deep on the brakes. I'm not seeing any wheelies as these guys are turning on 11. They've got their heads down. They're getting it done. But look at that. Chris Siglin's making a move on Lenny Hale. He's not going to get it done, but he showed him a wheel. Lenny Hale is now fighting to hold off Chris Siglin, and Ricky Corey is starting to sneak away. Ricky Corey onto the front straightaway. Siglin's got him. Siglin got it done. I didn't think he'd be able to, but he just forced his way through. Siglin has taken over second place and now has a little bit of ground to make up. We got 4 riders into the 148s right now. Ricky Corey, Chris Siglin, Lenny Hale, and Michael Ernest all dropped into the 148s. Up front, Chris Siglin knows he's got to catch Ricky Corey and catch him fast. If he allows Ricky Corey to stay with this kind of a gap much longer, it's not going to work out well. Lenny Hale is starting to lose touch with Chris Siglin, but he's still got a commanding lead in third place. Over the top of the hill, Ricky Corey, Chris Siglin. Chris is closing up a little bit. He's not going that much faster, but he's got a lot of laps to make something happen. This is an 8-lap race, and Chris Siglin is just whittling away at that lead. Whatever Chris Siglin's done with the BMW this time, it's working out extraordinarily well. Chris Siglin on the pipe again. Great drive heading into turn 14. Siglin, I think it's going to be on Ricky Corey's rear by about the end of this next lap. Cross flags come out. That's 4 laps. We're halfway through the podium celebration. Lenny Hale is still hanging on. Fourth place, Ernest, and look at this. 5th place, that's going to be Jason Laritzen fighting off Martin Schwartz. One more rider with him there. I believe that's Greg McCullough coming up to play. That last lap, Chris Siglin was 0.2 of a second faster than Ricky Corey. And look at Chris closing in the gap there. He keeps whittling away a little bit of time. He's only about 4 or 5 bike lengths back from Ricky Corey. As they come over the top of the 2, that drops down to about 2 bike lengths. And now we're up in the horsepower section. If Chris gets a good drive, he can catch right up to the rear of Ricky Corey. Ricky Corey gets an excellent drive, though. Bikes head through 7 and 8. There's not much difference, about 3-4 bike lengths between them. Ricky Corey leading Chris Siglin, and then Lenny Hale. And look on the top of the hill, Chris Siglin has erased the gap. He got a great drive over 9. He's charging in to turn number 10. Chris Siglin is now all over the back of Ricky Corey. Now is he going to just play around with the sitting in his blind spot for the rest of the race like he did the last time, or is he going to try to get in front and lead the race? Chris Siglin is definitely in striking distance, and at the end of this lap there's going to be 3 more to go. Onto the front straightaway, Corey Siglin, not much between them. Both of them on the pipe. Siglin closing in on Corey. And Ricky Corey went down out in turn number 1 all by himself. That was a solo incident. Chris Siglin just inherited the lead as Ricky Corey went off in turn number 1. Ryder looks to be up and okay. He's probably not going to be happy about it, but that's what happens sometimes in Formula Pacific when you're pushing it that hard. And Ricky Corey is okay. He just threw his gloves, so that's basically a statement of his displeasure.